Hello, and welcome to the Franchise Life. I am your host, Stacie Shannon. Today, we have an exciting emerging brand called goGLOW. And with me, I have Melanie Richards, who is the founder and CEO of goGLOW, and Bobby Brennan, partner at Front Street Equity. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, Stacie. Great to see you again, as always.
Yeah, my pleasure. Good to see you too. Okay, so very first question is for you, Melanie. How does a former probation officer of 12 years found and grow a business that eventually becomes a franchise system?
I know that's a wild one, isn't it? You just never we have that going on, but it is my story. I was in probation work for 12 years, and I specialized in domestic violence, working with women and children in the criminal justice system and on the victim side of it. So their safety, and I helped write stalking protocols for the state of Minnesota. So I was really deep into that and loved it, very passionate about it, but it was very, very hard on me, of course. It's a high burnout in that system. So I decided to go to the Aveda Institute while I was still working in my career, and I got my estheology license and went to celebrate in Mexico when I was looking for a spray tan. And at that time in 2011, it was the automated spray booth. And as you can see, because I've just exfoliated because I'm getting my goGLOW tomorrow, but you can see how pale I am. And so the panic was just like, I can't go in one of those booths. I'm going to get solution just fired at me everywhere. So I found a makeup artist. She was doing it. She was using a smaller brush. It took about an hour. It was very expensive for my probation officer salary, but I loved it. And I said, oh my gosh, there's obviously some moves here in sunless tanning that can be done where the solutions are going to turn you brown and not orange. And so I got home from Mexico and I maxed out my credit card and I ordered a machine and solutions, and it was going really great. My friends, everybody, and I just thought to myself, okay, this could possibly be a nice hustle for me, a nice side hustle. And it went from mobile, and I hired my first employee almost right away from my graduating class at Aveda. And we got up to about 4 cars in the Minneapolis area. And of course, with blizzards and all this, we couldn't get to everyone, right? So the demand was high. 2014, we opened up in a salon suite and sold the salons, and 100 square foot, and we were just packed. Our hallway was packed, and so Sola's like, "Hey, girls, this is a bit much." And so within, in 2015, we opened a 3-room. I thought, okay, I'll triple this. And then, of course, within that, we had to go to 6 rooms within that first year. So the demand is just huge for this. And so I've just always laughed like I'm keeping up with goGLOW. And so in 2016, I started to go into proprietary products. I developed my own solutions. So the spray tan solution and the skincare line is all proprietary, built by myself and a chemist. And then also I engineered my own overspray equipment. It's the only overspray booth in the industry right now that can handle the volume at which we do and clean the air. It's 4-time filtration. So we definitely have like a great, ring around the business as far as how different we are and how we're disrupting the industry.
What an incredible story. Oh my gosh. It's, and that is so beautiful, because when I talk to clients day in and day out about becoming a business owner, what you just shared shows that the transferable skills that you built in your professional job translate over into becoming a business owner. Your determination, your empathy, your management skills, all of that. So that's beautiful, and congratulations. So you've introduced goGLOW just at a very high level. So goGLOW is obviously a spray tan franchise, but it's not just a spray tan franchise, because you've already talked about some proprietary skincare products, and this is very much a service business. So Bobby, let me ask you, you're with Front Street Equity Partners. What attracted you to goGLOW?
Yeah, I know that's a great question, Stacie. And I think one of the things we look at is our goal at Front Street is to help grow enterprise value for our franchisors in a compressed timeline. And what that means, and that's what I've been doing in franchising for the better part of a decade, but what that means is we want to help them get to a place they couldn't get alone. And Mel, and team had, looked at franchising, had decided to start franchising, and was looking for the right partners. And we love that, like most franchisors will do. They outsource the pieces they're not great at. Because as a franchisor, you want to be a great coach. You want to coach franchisees, mentor them, obsess over their success. And so we look for franchisors that want that want to make sure they do everything they can to make those franchisees successful, regardless of whether they have 100 locations or 0 locations and are truly a startup franchise or emerging brand. So we look at those dynamic founder relationships, but we look for an operational moat. So when you think of a castle, the moat around the castle protects the business. And we look for unique differentiators, market disruptors, a variety of different things. But the fact that not only did goGLOW have proprietary products and a process and equipment that will very soon be patent pending, they had the dynamic founder and really strong financials. So it hit kind of a lot of the buckets that we were looking for of disruptive, unique, great founder, great unit level economics behind the brand. And then it was just a value add that, some things that we love are simple labor models. The labor model is as difficult as it's ever been. Real estate too, isn't getting any easier. So those are things that really attracted us to goGLOW. And then once we experienced it, once we met the team, it was kind of a no-brainer. And we said, hey, let's do this. And we've had a fun for several months of awarding franchises to some really strong caliber folks too.
So you started in 2011 out of a mobile van. You started awarding franchises just this year in 2023. And so far, you have awarded 8 territories to 3 individuals. And, what's really interesting to me is the background of these individuals that are being attracted to goGLOW. So can you just share some of those backgrounds of these pioneering franchisees that have seen the differentiators in the brand and the value?
Yeah, I was just actually talking to one of them, and I'm just like, pinch me, because to have somebody of this caliber come in right now, as we're emerging, is just unbelievable. But one of our partners in the Dallas-Fort Worth area was the previous chief experience officer for European Wax Center, and he took them to 800 locations. Him and his wife was also working for Victoria's Secret in their head of their marketing. So these are 2 very dynamic people who, as soon as we started talking to them, I could tell that he just really understood, and we were very aligned with what goGLOW is doing in the market as far as, bringing confidence and making people feel good. We just sort of speak the same language. So we're super excited about bringing them on. And then also one of our other partners is a prior European Wax Center franchisee, and who's now a My Salon Suites franchisee. So she gets it too. So super excited. They're already passionate about the brand, and it's very exciting to be in on something, a single service like this. I always liken it to Dry Bar. Allie Webb is my personal mentor. So I've been working with her, and, she's been giving me really great advice on how she broke out on a single service and how she, exploded that service. Right. So I'm really excited about it. And it's going to be a great run.
And this is a model that those individuals you mentioned can very much relate to, because it is a membership-based model. You have the single service of the spray tan and so forth, but you have the additional revenue streams of the skincare and so forth. So let me ask you this. Who is your ideal client? So you've already mentioned a couple backgrounds of individuals, the early pioneers in investment, but what attributes are you looking for in a franchise owner?
Yeah, my ideal partners, luckily I have 3 for 3 right now, so feeling good. Ideally, we have, pioneers, somebody who is really understanding women, of because we operate in a influential market of learning what other people are doing, what they're talking about, and I think that I offer a really good example of, you wouldn't think a probation officer could go into business and, create this. Well, it's out of passion, determination, tenacity. And so those are the qualities, of course, and definitely female centered, a strong couple that the woman wants to be in the business. That's what we're looking for. Super excited to have pioneers, like I said, and it's a very exciting time.
So, Bobby, this is a brick and mortar concept, but what's really exciting, and this is different than really, I don't know of another brand that has the ability to do this, but as you are assisting your franchise owners and looking for the perfect real estate and getting that built out, they do have the opportunity to go into a salon suite type of concept, 100 square foot or so forth, and start the business and start to build their clientele base even before that storefront location is open. So can you talk us through, and I know that one of your 3 that you've secured is already planning on doing that. So can you just talk through what type of assistance you provide the franchise owners with real estate? Because for somebody that is a new business owner, that can seem really intimidating.
100%. Yeah, it really is. And one of the unique things, to go back to what Front Street looked for in brands, and the launch strategy, or I'll say the pre-marketing strategy with goGLOW was a huge eye opener for us, because the biggest challenge with a lot of brick and mortar last few years, franchising has really leaned heavily into service-based businesses or mobile businesses. And a lot of the reason why is, well, it's a faster ramp up. But in my opinion, there's a reason you see the biggest franchisees in the world out there own hundreds of brick and mortar concepts. They are more scalable. They're more semi-absentee or executive level management, because you've got a brick and mortar, you've got multiple employees, recurring revenue, people coming in. So when a franchisee comes in with goGLOW, our initial piece is we work with one of the top real estate groups in the country. We know that that's not us. I'm not a real estate broker, but we partnered with one of the biggest ones out there called Morrow Hill, that works with over 80 franchisors, and their sole job is to work for franchisee tenants. They don't have a conflict with the landlords or anything. They don't represent landlords. It's just for our tenants and our franchisees. So they go to work there. Once we find the space, we found the perfect spot, we're going to build out 12 to 1,500 square feet, and we send out a letter of intent, sign an LOI. Well, then we know in general where we're going to be landing from the space. So what we allow our franchisees to do is, hey, if there's a space within a couple miles, go sign a salon suite for a single room, a couple $100 a week. It's going to be cheap, but you're able to get one of our goGLOW booths, put it into your location at a couple $100 a week, and start marketing. And the first piece of marketing we do is we go to everybody else in that salon suite, which tend to be estheticians, hair, nails, waxing, all the people that are influencers in the beauty space, health and beauty space already, and we give them free goGLOWs. They cost us pennies on the dollar, but then we create this referral kind of influencer-based micro influencer marketing campaign that allows us to build up a customer base, educate the consumer on what goGLOW is, why we're different, train our staff, all this before we have the overhead of a brick and mortar. So you're able to crawl before you walk and run. And when you have your open of your 12 to 1,500 square foot facility that might have 6 or 8 service rooms, well, you've already got the team trained. You've already got members signed up. So it allows for a much smoother transition, and you could be generating revenue from signing a franchise agreement in a brick and mortar health and beauty concept within 60 to 90 days, if not less. So that's the huge piece that we saw as a differentiator. And also the reason we did that is Melanie, unintentionally, with her first location that's now producing nearly $1 million a year with really strong returns. And we saw that we didn't do that with some of the other locations we opened, and they didn't have as strong of a start. So we took that and said, let's build this into the franchise model, because it's a no-brainer. And we've got a lot of great reception so far, hence the franchisee that owns Salon Suites. And even the one we just signed in Dallas, that Salon Suite franchise, or the Salon Suite owner, it's not a franchise, they have 7 locations, and they said, how quickly can you get into our other ones? So there is a need and a demand for it, but they don't want the traditional spray tan person because it doesn't have the filtration. It's not clean. It's dirty. And let's be honest, they can smell you before they see you. Those are some of the things that goGLOW's kind of already solved.
Okay, well, great segue, Bobby, because I've been a consumer of a spray tan multiple times, and not in a booth, but with an individual that is hand spraying me and so forth, which can be a little bit intimidating sometimes, depending on your comfort level with your body and what have you. So I've heard you talk about and reference this goGLOW booth, and this is a booth that you have created and is a proprietary product exclusive to goGLOW. So Melanie, talk me through what that experience would be like for me entering into a goGLOW studio and experiencing my first tan.
Yeah, and that's where with our spray tan techs, our experts, they're super good at making people feel comfortable. We average about 2,500 goGLOW services a month, and so the new clientele, of course, we are very well versed in how to make people feel comfortable, because that would be my same thing as like, oh my gosh, am I going to be naked, or how does this work? So we do an initial consultation, just kind of find out, what are you coming in for? Because we do a custom color. So we definitely want, look at skin tones in the event and that sort of thing. So we get the consultation done. In our rooms, we have the overspray booth, and it has 4 filters. So what it's doing at all times is it's pulling from the air. So as the expert is spraying, our spray is very very concentrated, and we know exactly where it's going. It's not kind of going all over the room. The client's not breathing it. So it's going immediately into the filtration system, being filtered out, and clean air is coming out. Our salons are all white, and that's for a reason, because we're kind of flexing and we're saying, hey, this is so clean. Our ingredients are clean. Our spray, our process, everything is so clean. And the client feels, with the LED lighting, you feel very comfortable. It's not a huge room. It's a very an intimate setting, in the sense that it's just you, and you've already created that sort of rapport with your expert. But the actual spray itself is maybe 2 minutes. So
Nice and quick.
yeah.
And so so you've mentioned proprietary products as well, which is nice to have additional revenue streams. What is the value of those products, in maintaining the tan and so forth to the client?
Yeah, absolutely. We have 5 core products, and they can be used with or without a goGLOW. Of course, with spray tanning, it's all about skin cells. It's all about skin cell turnover. And so we have products that, number one, before you get your goGLOW, you're going to do a nice exfoliation. We never have sugar scrubs. Those are going to create micro tears. So all this education that we're giving into clients, that's why we say we're a skincare business too, because they leave with so much knowledge. We also let them know about, okay, if you're not going to be, purchasing a goGLOW body butter or hydrate, make sure you're staying away from petrolatums, mineral oils. So we're giving them the education as well. So with our aftercare products, it's keeping that goGLOW longer. And so if you use the process, and we get all of our clients onto a routine that's specific to them, your goGLOW should be lasting 2 weeks for sure.
So on average, if somebody is wanting to maintain a goGLOW tan, then you would be seeing that client approximately 2 times a month.
Yep, about 2.5. Mm-hmm.
And so let's talk about the labor model. Bobby, you just lightly referenced labor. So these are individuals that do not need any prior experience. You guys, from a goGLOW corporate standpoint, you will train on your methodology. So what type of employees are you seeking, and how are they compensated?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I think outside of real estate, which we touched on earlier, the next biggest challenge really, and this is regardless of brick and mortar or a service-based business, is people, right? People is the hardest thing. We're in a very tight labor market too. The nice thing about goGLOW is we don't touch the consumer. So as you mentioned, Mel mentioned, we've got these custom spray tan experts, or we call them skincare experts, right? Because we're a skincare company, but we sell products and also offer service. That being said, we want people with friendly, outgoing, bubbly personalities. They can make women feel comfortable in somewhat vulnerable situations as well. and they can follow kind of an order of operations. The big key for us is it's not a skilled labor. We have anything from former teachers. We even have a dentist that works in our locations in our off day because she loves health and beauty, and it's a fun environment. All of our existing corporate employees were customers first. Think about that for a second. People that love the product so much that say, hey, I'd love to work here. And maybe it's part-time, maybe it's full-time, but a really unique opportunity from the right fit candidate in our store, but somebody who's passionate about health and beauty. So we have estheticians that maybe do other things, that do nails or hair, but they also love the goGLOW brand and what we stand for of selling confidence, mainly to women. That being said, how we compensate them is really unique. One of the big differentiators why so many people are attracted to this model is we have a base. Hey, we're going to pay them an hourly rate, but we're going to pay them commissions on some of those products that they sell. Our products are almost 30% of our system-wide sales. So in most service-based businesses, it's a fraction. It's 5-10% if they're lucky. This is significant. We are a skincare company, but we also do the goGLOWs. So that's almost 30% of our revenue. So we incentivize them, pay a commission on that. But then the fun part is our service is 15 to 20 minutes. So we can touch each one of our service rooms. So there's one skincare expert or technician per room, and we can turn each of those rooms 3 times per hour. Our average ticket, when you include product sales, is $75 per customer. If you're tipping on that, which this is a professional service, that's one of the big differentiators that Mel brought to the table, is similar to what European Wax did. You could get waxes before, but it wasn't really a professional service. People are willing and happy to tip in those environments. They're actually tipping anywhere from 10 to 20% plus. And so in our FDD, this is actually in there, our average skincare expert makes over $30 per hour, but more than half of that is paid by the consumer through tips. So if we turn those rooms 2 times on average per hour, $75 average ticket, even if I'm only getting a 15% tip, I'm still making close to $30 an hour. And that's all through credit card. We can't track Venmo or cash. So a lot of these skincare experts are making $40 or $50 per hour in some instances with no license requirements in a fun environment you can make money like a bartender would without dealing with all the general public like a bartender has to. So it's a fun place where people are actually excited to come see you versus the alternative of dealing with the general public in food service or bartending.
Well, it's a feel-good business. I mean, you are uplifting individuals, making them feel better about themselves. I mean, I know back in the day, which I still can't believe that there's actual sun booths out there available, but back in the day, I would just go to the tanning salon and I'm from Iowa, so in the winter, just to, feel kind of the warmth and, per se, the sun on your face and get that tan. And this is such a better solution. I mean, from every aspect. So, and I do, back to, it's a feel-good business. You're making people feel good and happy and so forth. So, okay, let's talk financials. I know you guys have an item 19, a very nice, in-depth item 19, where you show financials for the corporate locations. So, given what you can share, Bobby, what would an investor see in that item 19?
Yeah. No, and we were very, again, another thing that Front Street looks for is very clear and transparent financials, right? We want to show this in the opportunity and all the work that Melanie's done with the proprietary process and systems and even the micro influencer marketing. Like, we still don't pay influencers. We give them free goGLOWs, but we don't spend a dime on that. And up until this last year, we didn't even spend money on digital marketing. It was all word of mouth. So the opportunity is really endless. And I tell everyone as they look at this item 19, we are in Chicago and Minneapolis. If you asked Melanie, where's the worst place to open up a spray tan company, we would probably tell you where people are closed 9 months out of the year, right? Minneapolis, if we can do it there, we feel like we can do it anywhere. But the item 19 is extremely strong. It shows an average of over $600,000 in revenue per location, with nearly 30% of that coming from product sales. So both the product and the service, but showing a net of over 35% on average. Our flagship, our top producing location, which happened to launch in a Salon suite first, does almost $950,000 in revenue showing over 400,000 net on a single location, or 43% returns. So it is a very proprietary, high margin business. Again, the labor model makes it really attractive, and the fact that you can crawl in the Salon Suite model before you run with your flagship location just makes it a really unique and attractive franchise model. So the item 19 is extremely strong. It's just, we're an emerging brand. So I think that's why it's important for these people that are coming in to be passionate about health and beauty, but also understand this is a pioneering brand. We're punching above our weight class. We shouldn't look this good, this young in the franchising space, but that's part of what Melanie's done, from proprietary technology, et cetera, and what Front Street brings to the table, having decades worth of franchising experience.
That is incredible. And one of the reasons I sought you out is, I mean, it almost seems too good to be true. But it's a testament to the brand, the early investors that are being drawn to you. These are seasoned franchise veterans. These are people that know when they see a good model, they know what they're looking for. So, I mean, I think it's fantastic, and I know that's going to carry you a long ways. So this is it can be an executive model where you can put a manager in place, a general manager that will run the store for, or the space for you on a day-to-day basis. So when you, what is that employee landscape going to look like from numbers? Just like, how many people are you going to need in the studio in addition to the general manager oversight?
Yeah, as far as what are my current salons look like in Chicago, Minneapolis, is that I have one manager running all the locations. So she goes out to Chicago maybe once a month, and pour some love into the employees. But the thing of it is with the spray tan experts is that they all come from their own careers, and they're there and they're so happy to be there, but they're very individual, and they're very they take pride in their work. And so we don't have the model where you have a manager sort of overseeing everything. There's really no need for that. These girls come in, they have their room assignments, and they just take their clients and they take care of business. So it's a really good model in that way, so that you don't have to have a lot of oversight of these individuals because they're crushing it in their day job and just having fun at goGLOW. So that's right about during our busy season, like Bobby said, we start ramping up for travel right around February. Everyone's trying to run from the snow. And so we ramp up, and we have during our quote unquote, heavy season when everyone's trying to get to vacations and spring breaks, it's about per location. You're going to have, and I only have part-time employees. So mine are running between 10 and 12 staff, but again, it's by appointment only. And so you only need to bring on staff if you have appointments. So you're not just having people just kind of sit in a goGLOW and wait for business. It's not how it goes. So you're easily able to, when you start your storefront, open at a pace that you can control.
To add to that, one important part is, especially if they go into the Salon Suite, you'll need that person. And again, if it is going to be more of a general manager, or if it's going to be the executive model, or if it's going to be more of an owner operator, it'd be that person, whatever that person is, that lead, and then maybe one or two other like part-time goGLOW people. And then as they build up that customer base, they know, how do I need a staff? Because you're not going to have 8 busy rooms or 6 busy rooms on day one. You could staff and only have 3 or 4 rooms that you have a couple employees, and grow into that. So it gives you a good, I'll say, litmus test of where you're at and how many employees you're going to need when you open up your flagship. But yeah, you can realistically, if you had full-time people, you could run it with significantly less. Most of ours tend to be part-time people, but as Mel mentioned, they don't need the same oversight, because again, sometimes they're making 30 to 50 bucks an hour. If they're not following our process, they're not getting the room assignment. They're not getting those hours. We're going to put somebody else in there. And a big another operational note is different compared to a lot of beauty services. Someone comes in, they sign up for a goGLOW, they sign up for time, not a person. And one of the biggest things, some of our former health and beauty franchisee mentioned was they love that, because they would train these people and then they'd go and leave and go into Salon Suite and take the customer base with them. With goGLOW, we really don't allow that, because they're getting a goGLOW. Everyone's certified to the same level, but they're not coming in and seeing Melanie every time they get a goGLOW. They're signing up for a time that works for them. So they might have various people doing the goGLOWs. They have all the notes so they can recreate the same perfect tan, but we're not as susceptible if an employee leaves to lose a lot of that business too. So that's a huge differentiator for goGLOW.
That is a game changer. It honestly is, because I have in many of the beauty concepts that I have shown, whether it's haircut or massage or what have you, people do get attached to a person at a place. So if they leave, then that's a big disruptor if they're a good employee with a huge following. So that is really interesting. How do you overcome? Because I can't imagine, I know myself, if I have a great first experience with a goGLOW artist, what do you call them? What's your
skincare expert?
Skincare expert. How do you overcome somebody wanting to schedule with that person again? Because I would have to think you've had those requests.
Yeah.
I'll turn over to Mel in a second. One thing I'll say, Melanie, is that I think a big piece of this goes back to what Melanie mentioned earlier, is the education. We are educators. Like, if you look at any of our reviews online, one of the main things people rave about us, we've got 4 locations and 5,000 5-star reviews, is the education on how to take care of their skin. So when we educate them that here's who goGLOW is, here's what a goGLOW looks like, here's why it's different, it becomes less reliant on the person and more reliant on the technology, the products, the preparation. But to your point, absolutely, there are people that will come in and request that. So Mel, I'll let you maybe talk to the specific examples.
Yeah, thanks, Bobby. And another thing is that these appointments are, like Bobby said, 15 to 20 minutes. So it's not like when you're getting your lashes done, you're spilling your whole life story, you're talking about your boyfriend, your husband, so we're not that bonded, right? But so the client comes in and they're getting a bunch of education, and definitely there's going to be people that are like, oh, I really loved Sarah. Is Sarah working such and such time? There's, of course, this is where my background comes in. We don't, we can't release people's schedules. We have to worry about, safety and security and that whole thing. But if there is in fact maybe a bride and she's very particular about who she wants to see, we will definitely say, yes, Sarah is working this night, go ahead and book, and we'll be sure to make sure that she sees you. But we definitely don't make a routine of it, because like Bobby said, it's really disruptive to the rooms. It causes salon atmospheres. We've kind of all been there, where they're a bit a little bit competitive between women. It kind of eliminates that whole thing. Everybody's supporting everybody. Everybody's trying to get appointments, clientele, and talking about goGLOW, because they know they're all on one team and they're going to be, servicing these clients when they come in. So it actually works very well. We've never had a complaint from a employee or, a client that says, well, I'm going to see Sarah or nobody else. Right. So we definitely take care of our clients, though, if it's that particular.
No, I like that. And, kudos to you for the forethought in implementing it that way, because it has so many benefits. And the one, especially from an employee standpoint, as you mentioned, Melanie. All right. So to wrap up, a total investment for a single location of goGLOW is $232,000 to $398,000. And that includes all of the equipment you need, the leasehold improvements, just everything from A to Z. So if somebody were interested in a multi-pack, because this is definitely a multi-unit play type of concept, what would that look like, Bobby?
Yeah, so really the nice thing about that is there are some economies of scale, especially if someone's going to be in a similar market, right? And so far we've awarded mainly multi-units. In Detroit, in Dallas, and Houston are the 3 areas that we have franchisees developing. But that being said, there is a pretty significant discount on the franchise fee, but also some of the additional fees are one-time fees, things like training, right? Things like the setup of our LMS, the setup of all these different software, our tech stack, if I call it that. Everything from, we use a tool called Profit Keeper. And again, kind of the foresight, as you mentioned, hey, we have technology that will allow us to help them with their chart of accounts. So we can see if they're overspending on labor, if they're overspending on cost of goods sold. It can serve as an early warning detection system So we can interject and say, hey, what's going on? You guys were really high on this, whereas the system is at this, or this is our goal. So we build in all those to the tech stack. So those are all one-time fees, which is really nice per location. But realistically, the franchise fee, and then they're developing that second location, they're still going to have the same build out, the equipment cost, the opening inventory, but we anticipate a much faster ramp up. And we do budget a healthy amount towards that grand opening. And part of that is if they decide to go into the salon suite or not, which the only instance where we would tell someone not to is if the salon suite's 20 miles away, right? Because we don't want to train the consumer to go over here and
Sure.
you're opening on the other side of town. But realistically, the franchise fee goes up and they're going to see some economies of scale for the second and third territories they'd be developing, anywhere between $20,000 and $50,000 of a discount for additional units.
And that would be a phased development. It's not a requirement to open.
No, we won't allow anyone to open multiple at once right now because we're just still so young. We want to make sure let's crawl, walk, and run. However, I do think just with some of the franchisees and the pace they're going at, we'll have several that will open 2 in their first 12 months. That's not expected. However, so our development schedule, their first location, they have up to a year to develop before they start thinking about the second location, just because we know real estate can be a challenge. We know it's a lot of people's first time franchising, but thus far we've mainly brought people with some decent amount of franchise experience. And then one couple in Houston that was pharmaceutical reps. She had her third baby, didn't want to go back to corporate America, wanted something more flexible, and loved the executive model with this brand that, hey, I can go in and do the goGLOWs, but I also can spend time with my 3 babies as well.
Awesome. Well, Bobby and Melanie, thank you so much for joining me today. In closing, for anybody looking for a concept that has incredible financials, as Bobby shared, average gross sales of $670,000 with 35% net margins, multiple revenue streams between the skincare and the tanning service. You have a small footprint, a lot of support in that retail space with the opportunity for, it kind of reminds me of like a fitness facility where they do pre-sales, right? But they're disadvantaged in that people can't experience it before they actually invest in that membership. So this is even better where you can be in that salon suite during the time of the brick and mortar opening up. And then I think, again, Melanie, kudos to you. This thing is protected by all of the proprietary aspects that you have created and invested in. And this is not a replicatable business model by any means in the near future. You have this protected from A to Z, and I think that is going to draw a lot of investors to the experience that you've already seen to date. So thank you so much again for joining me. For anybody interested in learning more about goGLOW, please feel free to reach out to me at Stacie@fusionfranchising.com. Thanks and have a great day.